Welcome to Family Answer Man. Today we're tackling how to guide your children through moments of non-belief from a biblical worldview. I'm Katie Norsworthy, joined by Dr. Mark Crosby, pastor, educator, mental health professional, and our resident expert. This podcast isn't a therapy session, but we believe mental and spiritual health matter. For personal advice, please seek professional counsel. Before we dive in, hit subscribe on YouTube and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. If you're on the podcast app, rate and review. It really helps us out. And don't forget to invite your friends and family to join us in building a stronger, healthier, happier family. Good morning, Dr. Mark.
Well, good morning, Katie. Good to see you this morning. David's out today. He's taking a little vacation, so thank you for filling in. And you always do a wonderful job. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to be back. I'm so excited.
Yes.
And today's question is really, really good.
Yeah.
What a topic to tackle.
Yes.
The question we had, someone wrote in and she says, my son said most of his friends don't go to church and others don't believe in God. He is not sure if he believes either. What can I do?
Wow. Yeah. So we're seeing, unfortunately, this more and more often. I think the reason for that is because there's just so much out there these days. There's just so many challenges to the Christian faith. There's so many challenges to the church. Once again, in our own community here in Livingston Parish, the stats are pretty staggering. Only 20% of the population will attend church on any given Sunday, which means 80% of our community is not attending church on any given Sunday. And so that impacts the family, that impacts children, that basically causes them to say, is God important? Is the church important? Is the Bible important? Is faith important? And I run across a lot of students between, say, the ages of 11 and 17 who go, what's the big deal? I mean, I can live my life without God. I can live my life without the church. I don't really need faith. And when you unpack that, what they're simply saying is, I don't understand the need or the necessity. And what I tell people all the time is that faith is one of those areas that we all use every day of our life. I mean, if you get a prescription, if you go to the doctor, if you go to a restaurant, you're basically exercising faith. If you get on a plane, you're exercising faith.
Definitely.
And so the point simply is this, is that life is about faith. And so the point that I try to make clear to many of our students and their parents is that our faith in our life is foundational with our understanding of who God is or our theology. Even an atheist has a theological foundation. So what you believe about God is the foundation, because that theological foundation, again, then builds upon the philosophical foundation of life. How do I see life? How do I understand life? What are my questions about life? And then from your philosophy comes basically how you see your choices in life. Do I go here? Do I go there? Do I say yes? Do I say no? And the next layer is the decisions I make in life based on these choices. And then my decisions determine my success or failure. Wow. So the point simply is this, is that all of us have a foundation that is based on who is God. Is there a God? Do I believe in God? What's my role, my relationship with God? And so the point in saying all that is that faith development is crucial. And it's crucial in the early formative stages of life. Like anything else. I mean, show me a child who started playing basketball when they're 4 years old. Show me a child that started playing the piano when they're 5 years old. Show me a child that started, doing maybe mechanics even with their dad in the garage at 6 or 7 years old. And what happens is this aptitude begins to grow, this understanding begins to grow. Show me a child who learns another language, when they're 3 or 4 years old. And so the point is that when you start understanding who God is in your life and your faith starts to develop early in life, it really begins to make a difference in life. So when you are now 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and you've not had any understanding of God or the Bible or church or any faith traditions, it's like, I don't understand the necessity.
I love what you said too, because you're not going to wait till your son's 16 to go throw a baseball with him.
Right, exactly.
Expect him to make the high school team.
Exactly. And so it is with our faith. And the sad part is that many parents never understand that. Yeah. And I hear so many parents, and I know they quote unquote mean well, but they're doing a great disservice to their child when they say, I'm going to wait till my child's 18 and let them make up their own mind.
Yeah.
Well, I can give you with 93% accuracy what decision they're going to make.
100%.
If they have no understanding of God, the Bible, Jesus, church, or anything like that, if they have no understanding between the time they're born and the time they're 18. So again, my point is that our faith is now more important than ever. The times we live in, the things that are happening, the geopolitical struggles and challenges we see in our world. So it's more important now than ever, especially due to all the information that's instantly available. I mean, you can click on a few keys and hear all sorts of things, good, bad, right, wrong, accurate, inaccurate. And there's also, when you click on a few keys on the computer, there's a lot of animosity toward the church, toward God, toward faith, toward the Bible. And it's always been there, but now it seems like it's more faddish.
Oh, yeah.
It's more acceptable than before, where kids are saying it's the fad now to not believe in God. It's the fad to do your own thing. It's the fad to push against, the church or the Bible or anything to do with God.
Oh, yeah. And all it takes is a 10-second video to say something that's totally false.
Oh, exactly.
And people take that as truth. And I'm like, it's a 10-second thing. Someone says, oh, experts say.
Exactly.
What expert?
Exactly. The clickbait, the clickbait that's out there. So again, as the culture of self begins to grow, where again, I get to choose for myself, my gender, or I get to choose myself how I identify, or whatever it may be, as that begins to grow, the I do what I want, I identify as I want, begins to grow as well. And so the question is, what's a parent to do? And so to answer this question, if you just tuned in, this parent is writing in about their child struggling with belief in God. Their friends don't believe in God. And this parent is going, what do I do with my child? The first thing I would say is this: listen to their questions. If your child has a question about God or about the Bible, don't shy away. Don't basically condemn them. Don't put them down. Don't chastise them for having questions. How many times have I heard over the years, years ago, grandma saying, well, don't you question that Bible. Don't you question your pastor. And the point simply is this: we can do so respectfully. The Bible says to examine all things, 1 Thessalonians 5:21. And so the point is, as a parent, if your child has doubts, if your child has questions about the Bible, did this really happen? What's the evidence for this or that? Listen to their questions. Number two, listen to their doubts. If they say, Mom, I just doubt, whether or not, Noah's Ark happened.
Yeah.
How could all those animals get on board? Well, that is a way of thinking. That is a creative way of thinking. That is a way that children are trying to process, very powerful subjects and information. And so listen to their question and then find some answers for them. There are some great resources out there. Dr. Hugh Ross is a great resource. Back to Genesis is a great resource. And so there's lots of resources that parents can use to, again, equip their children and to answer their questions, especially if they are a critical thinking type child.
Oh, yeah.
And so listen to their doubts. Next, ask them questions as far as, so what are you looking for? So when your child is struggling with a question about the things of God, just say, what are you looking for? And in many cases, what they will say is, I'm looking for some evidence. As we said, not that long ago, when someone says, can you prove God scientifically? The best response is, no, you can't. But you can't prove the American Revolution scientifically either. Because for it to be scientific, you have to observe it, you have to repeat it, you have to falsify it, you have to test it, you have to give predictions about it. But that doesn't mean there's not evidence.
Yes.
There is evidence for the American Revolution. Okay, we live in a nation that is the result of the American Revolution. We have a constitution. We have historical documents. We have eyewitness accounts. And all these things point to the fact that, yes, there was indeed an American Revolution. No one was there here today to see it. We can't observe it. We can't repeat it, but there's evidence for it. And so it is with God. So real quickly, 10 things that, again, that are scientifically based to share with your child who may be struggling with their faith or their faith being challenged by their friends. Number one, remind your child, look around, there is something. So my point is, if you were on a desert island and you're walking along and you see a laptop computer, okay, you can conclude that someone left it there, it washed ashore there, but somewhere, some way, somehow, there was some activity at one time that someone left a laptop computer, or if you found a watch, or if you found maybe a hut.
And you don't have to have a PhD to know.
Exactly. You found a little hut with a table, and there's some bowls and forks, and the table inside the little hut on this desert island, that somebody put that together.
Yes.
That is not the product of random chance. Somebody put a roof on that little hut. Somebody put a table on that little hut. Somebody put some chairs and bowls and forks in that little hut. And there is something there. Again, I love the illustration where if you bring your atheist friend to the restaurant and they have the most wonderful meal and they have the appetizer and the entree and the dessert and they have, all they want and all they can eat. And you ask them, do you believe there's a cook?
Yes.
That is, again, where we are. First point is there is something. Number two, and this is very important for our kids to know, especially those who are scientifically minded, and that is this. Our universe had a beginning, and we forget the power and the importance of that. Our universe had a beginning, which means that there is a beginning, there's a beginner. And not only that, even though that's a logical statement, there are 30 space-time theorems that make it indisputable that our universe had a beginning. Now, these space-time theorems basically say this, that time, energy, space, and matter all came into existence at the exact same time. That time, energy, space, and matter all came into existence at the exact same time. Einstein's theory of relativity points to that reality. 30 space-time theorems point to that reality. What does that mean? Why is that important? Because there were no natural forces. Because there was no time.
Yeah.
There was no matter. There was no energy. There were no laws of physics. There were no natural forces. There was nothing. And so therefore, scientists, not Christians necessarily, Christian scientists, but scientists in general, have now concluded because there was no space, time, matter, energy, there had to have been a causal agent that is outside of space, time, matter, and energy, that is not confined by space, time, matter, and energy, that again began this. This is exactly what the book of Genesis says.
And science was pretty new in finding that out, right?
Well, very good question, because for years, the understanding of the universe was that it was eternal.
Yeah.
And so if it is eternal, that means everything that came into existence, if you will, had a beginning point because time, matter, and energy and space were in play because the universe is eternal. And so it was only when they discovered, which goes to the next point, the expanding universe. In 1924, Edwin Hubble discovered the universe was expanding. And because they discovered we have this expanding universe, they had to extrapolate backwards that if the universe is expanding, it must have had a beginning. And not only that, but we have the technology today to look back and see when the universe actually began. And people go, I'm not sure if I understand that. As we said before, when you look at the sun, S-U-N, you're looking at the sun as it was 8 minutes ago. That's how long it takes for light to travel from the sun to your eye. And so this also confirms the Word of God, because the Bible tells us at least 9 times about the universe expanding, or the natah in Hebrew. It is observable. It is biblical. It is massive. There are 2 trillion galaxies that we know of right now in our universe. And one of our closest neighbors, which is the Whirlpool Galaxy, to give you some idea as to the size of our universe, is 31 million light years away. Now, when you say that number, most people go, I'm not sure if I understand what that means. What that means is if you're traveling 186,000 miles per second, and you're in your rocket ship going 186,000 miles per second, the speed of light, it would take you going that fast 31 million years just to get to one of our neighbors, the Whirlpool Galaxy. That is, and there are trillions of other galaxies out there much further out. That is how great is our God. That is how vast our universe is. Not only that, but tell, the inquiring child that is wondering, is God out there or not, to look into the night sky. And then when you do, you see dark matter or dark energy. Dark energy was discovered only in the last 30 years or so. It is the fuel that is used, if you will, to expand the universe. Now, it is so fine-tuned because, again, think of it like this. Think of putting your foot on a gas pedal. Okay, as you put your foot on the gas pedal, I press it down, I go faster, I let up, I'll go slower. Let's just say you had to go through a school zone at exactly 20 miles an hour. So you had to put your foot exactly on that pedal to keep that car going exactly at 20 miles an hour. If you go too fast, you might run over a child. If you go too slow, you go to slow progress. 20 miles an hour. The point is that our universe is going at a precise rate or expanding at a certain rate. Too fast, life on this planet does not exist. Too slow, life on this planet does not exist. So it is so fine-tuned that, again, it's fine-tuned basically more than any other instrument humanity has ever created. Think of your smartphone, think of the car you drive, think of your air conditioning unit, whatever it may be. All these things that we have that are so extremely fine-tuned that one little glitch could break it apart. The point is, this is our universe far more than any other thing that we've ever created. So the fine-tuning of our universe points to the fact that there is a creator God who has made this so precise, which means, the fifth point, that mathematical precision and mathematical probability points to a creator, not random chance. Mathematical probability says what you see around you, the fine-tuning you see around you, could not have happened based on mathematical probability. So for the non-believer in God, they look at random chance as being basically the creator of all things. Mathematical probability and mathematical precision says could not have happened based on the laws of mathematical probability. And that's important to note.
And what's crazy too about all of this is these are things, everyone wants to talk about how science will disprove the Bible, but on so many of these things, science was behind the Bible.
Oh, exactly.
The Bible, if you would have went to the Bible first, you would have had these answers. Science is not.
Exactly. I mean,
the Bible, science doesn't disprove the Bible. The more and more we find out, the more and more it's agreeing.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, to your point, yes, science is just now catching up with the Bible.
Exactly.
Okay. And as a matter of fact, and we don't hear this very often, but the people who gave us science, Isaac Newton, Gregor Mendel, Blaise Pascal, Murray, who gave us oceanography, all of these men were men of the Bible, men of faith, and men who believed in Creator God.
Yeah.
And the list could go on, Boyle and others. All these men believed in God. These are the very men who gave us science because they believed that if we would just examine, creation, we could discover the glory of God. And in so doing, they discover all these amazing things, all these amazing truths and facts and principles and laws, etc. And again, we discovered because of the vastness of the universe and the fine-tuning, we realize that gravity is fine-tuned.
Yes.
The velocity of light is fine-tuned. The proton to electron ratio is fine-tuned. The distance from our Earth to our sun. If the sun was any further away or any closer, life on this planet could not exist. If the moon was any closer or further away, life on this planet could not exist. The tilt of the Earth. If our Earth was not tilted in a certain way, life on this Earth could not exist. So the point simply is this: these are all just a sample of the fine tuning that makes life on this planet available and able. Not only that, but laws of physics are non-changing. And so I'd say to scientists who believe in the laws of physics, if there's a law, there's got to be a lawgiver who made it so to where these laws are so precise. The laws of morality. Without God, who's to say who's right or wrong?
Yeah.
Now, I've heard people say, well, just, the common understanding of culture tells us what's right or wrong. Well, okay, then be a Jewish person in 1939 with the rise of Hitler and who says that all Jews must be exterminated. And let me know how that works out for you.
Culture gets it wrong a lot of times.
How's that working out for you? So the laws of morality have to have a lawgiver. As you said time and time again, one of the pushbacks I hear from people who don't want to believe in God is they say, well, if there's evil in the world, how can there be God? And my reply is, how do you know there's evil? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? And I go, well, there's evil because there's good. And there's good because there is a distinction between good and evil. There is a law that says this is good, this is evil. If there is a law, there must be a lawgiver. If there's no lawgiver, there's no law that says this is good or evil. If there's no good, there is no evil. What is your question?
Yeah.
So laws of morality have a God, have a creator behind it. The laws of physics. Not only that, but this is the one that I think put everybody, questioning atheism right when the book, The Origin of the Species, Darwin's Origin of the Species, if you will, and Decline of Man, was having its 100th anniversary, when DNA was discovered in the 1950s. DNA, the genetic code of every cell in every living creature that determines the function of every living part of every living thing. Okay, the DNA code is the genetic code in every cell of every living creature, every living thing, that determines the function of every living part of every living thing. Mm-hmm. So DNA determines whether you have blue eyes or brown eyes, whether you're tall, comparatively speaking, or short, comparatively speaking, whether you have dark skin or light skin or whatever it may be. DNA determines the beat of your heart, the size of your brain. The list could go on, whether it's kelp in the ocean or cactus in the desert. DNA is a genetic code that creates this great biobalance in our world. And the question is this: who wrote this code? Bill Gates said that DNA is far more complex than any computer code ever devised. There's not a computer geek out there, if you will, that would say to you that a computer code just happened by itself.
Yeah.
There is someone who wrote the code. So it is with DNA.
And the person who wrote the code, I can't just hop on the computer right now and write code.
Exactly.
It's you have to have an intelligence to write the code.
Exactly. Information requires intellect. Exactly. Yeah. To your point, information requires intellect. And so we have forgotten the depth and the fine tuning and the intricacy of DNA. We don't talk about it enough, and the fact that it must have intellect behind this information. And then number 10, if you're kind of keeping count, and I tell this to kids all the time, your brain, is able to do more than, a computer. The fact that you have a soul, a consciousness, the fact you're able to determine what is beautiful or not beautiful, or what is artistic or musical or loving or joyful, all these things. This is the fact, I will argue, this is based on the fact that God has created you in his image. So all these things, I will say, point to a creator. As a matter of fact, some of the great scientists even today look at the fact that all these things point to a creator. And so, but if that's not enough, the next question many will ask is, has God spoken? So if there is a creator God, and I believe there is, the next thing we will know is, has God spoken? And when you show, and this was important for me when I was a teenager, when you show your child, your teenager, the prophecies.
Oh yeah.
Found in the Word of God. Just take Daniel, for example. In the book of Daniel, Daniel talks about, and this is 500 years before Jesus was born, Daniel talks about the rise and fall of world empires. He talks about the rise and the fall of the Babylonian Empire, the rise and fall of the Medo-Persian Empire, the rise and the fall of the Greek Empire, the rise and the fall of the Roman Empire. And all of these empires came and went exactly as Daniel declared.
To the day.
To the day. Mm-hmm. Not only that, Daniel talks about the coming of the Messiah of Israel and the death of the Messiah of Israel and the destruction of Jerusalem. And he pinpoints those events basically to the day. Then Daniel says something in Daniel chapter 12 that was kind of out of the norm, but he says in the last days that knowledge will increase. And the point is that if you just take the last 200 years, just take the last 20 years, you see this explosion in knowledge far more than you see in the last 2,000 years combined. And so the point is that that's just one of the prophets of the Bible. You have other prophets of the Bible like Isaiah, Zechariah, and the Psalms, all talking about the life of this one called the Messiah. Talks about the miracles he would do. Talks about the exact type of death he would die. It talks about the fact that he would die among criminals, and they would gamble for his clothing 1,000 years before the event. They talk about his resurrection. They talk about all these things. And so the point is this: if God is there, you would expect, and if God was to reveal himself, you'd expect God to be able to reveal the future. And that's exactly what we see in the Old Testament. That's exactly what we see in the fulfillment of these scriptures when Jesus shows up.
Yeah, and there's not one that he's been disproved on.
No, exactly. And so again, when you look at the mathematical probability of that happening, if you look at the mathematical probability of just, maybe 7 or 8 prophecies coming into existence, again, it is so great that, again, mathematical probability says it could not happen by random chance. That's just 7 or 8. Jesus comes along and fulfills 300. And so the next question people would say is this: well, if God is there, why didn't he just say, hey, here I am? And I will argue he did.
Yes.
When Jesus came into the world, he made that clear. He said, I am the great I am. To see me is to see God. When he shows up in Bethlehem's manger, he is pronounced as the Emmanuel, God with us. And the great thing is that he has prepared a place for us. He'll return once again. And John says he's full of grace and truth. And so what that means is this, and this is for every person, whether you're an adolescent, a senior adult. The reality is that Jesus comes along not to keep you from enjoying life. He wants you to have fewer regrets in life.
Oh, that's good.
One of the things that I hear, and one of the things that I share with students, is that one model of success is going through life with fewer regrets. Because when you turn 30, when you turn 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, one thing that many do is they will kind of review their life for a moment. And they'll ask themselves, how many successes do I have and how many regrets do I have? If my regrets are greater than my successes, we feel like we have not done well in life. My point is this: when you line your life up with the Word of God, when you listen to the counsel of Jesus, when you listen to what Jesus has shared, I will argue you will have fewer regrets in life. And so to the adolescent, to the young adult, my point is, listen to what Jesus has to say. He comes along and gives this amazing counsel. He shows up that we can have life abundant, but more importantly, he shows up that we can have life eternal. And again, there is medical science that points to the fact that there's life beyond the grave. Many wonderful physicians have given testimonials of their patients who have had near-death experiences and what they said and what they saw, what they heard, and the experience they had. And again, one particular physician has 4,000 patients who had near-death experiences. And they had this 80% focus upon similar experiences, which again, this physician says, it's proof to me that there's life beyond the grave. So again, and many will ask the question, so what is atheism, what's it about? What does it have to argue? And I will offer, and I will say atheism is based on arrogance. Someone who says, I don't need God. That's a very arrogant statement. It's based on bias, saying that I'm not going to listen to the things of God. I don't need to. It's based on pride. I want to be God. It's based on bitterness. There are a lot of people out there who are bitter towards maybe the church or Christians or whatever, and I understand that. But bitterness is not something that you want to carry with you. It's an emotional cancer. Some basically struggle with atheism because of laziness. They will not look at the recent research. They won't look at the evidence for the things of God. So here's what I would say to this parent. Who are just tuning in, whose child struggles with faith, find a church that has a strong student ministry and find a church that speaks to these particular areas because, again, I think apologetics is so important today. And that word simply means giving reasons for your faith. There's a lot of wonderful men of God out there. Frank Turek does great work. Dr. Hugh Ross does great work. We have Wesley Huff, for example, a plug here, coming to Live Oak Church at the end of this month on March the 30th. He has debated atheists, on various channels, etc. And so, but they're giving reasons for the hope within us. They're giving reasons for the faith, reasons that a person can embrace and build their life upon. Remember, you build your life on your theology, then your philosophy, then your decisions, then your choices, then your decisions, and those decisions, whatever you choose, will choose your success or failure in life. So I hope this helps this parent that is experiencing this and all the other parents who have a child that is struggling with some level of faith, because when you can give them answers to the questions, it really does create a great attachment and creates a happier family.
And I think it's good to point out too, seeing when your child does have these doubts and does have these questions, seeing that as a positive, because it means they're thinking about it.
Exactly.
So just an encouragement to other parents out there. I know it can be scary sometimes when our kids come with these things, but that means they're thinking about it.
Exactly.
And that is good.
Yeah, exactly. I love the statement that says that our mission should be to help thinkers believe and help believers to think.
I love that. Just so great. Such great advice, Dr. Mark. Thank you so much. I took lots of notes. I'm a mom of 2, so I'm like, yes on all this stuff. Thank you for tuning in. On those who have, I hope you found wisdom to strengthen your family. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and keep building a stronger, healthier, and happier family.